What's up guys, Qehzy here, bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a mascot logo in Illustrator if you are a beginner. So if you're like me, you don't use Illustrator all that often, but you want to create a mascot logo or get into these kind of illustrated logos and whatnot. And I'm just going to be showing you guys the technique I use to create this guy. So you guys can use the same technique for whatever you're doing. It's really simple and easy. It's probably the easiest way to go about doing these. So yeah guys, let's get right into it. So the main part of this tutorial is using references. So you want to find some references to use. So for example, I have this here with a trident, and that's the face I'm using, but then a body too. And then I couldn't find the face or the crown that I used originally because they're from a friend. So I don't have them anymore, but I'm just going to be using the one I created then. So these are going to be my three references. I'm going to put them together to create the logo I'm going to be making. So you guys want to do that for whatever you're doing. And if you're doing like a bird, you want that sort of bird and like the design of the bird and like whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. Use any objects you want for accuracy, and preferably if they have shading and stuff. Like this guy is perfect. It's got the shading and highlights, so you know where to put those and all that good stuff. And then once you have your references, you want to go ahead into Illustrator, go to File, New, and you want to just create a document. I go 1500 by 1500. You can do whatever you like. This is just what I do as a default in Illustrator. Whenever I'm working in Illustrator, I do 1500 by 1500. So click OK. And then we're just going to go ahead and add our references. So I'm going to get these guys and drag them on, and then we can line them up wherever. So I'll have the body, or I'll have the face to the right, the body in the middle, and the trident over to the left here. Cool. And then I'm going to name that layer references, and then I'm going to go ahead and lock it for now and line this guy up. And then the next thing we want to do is go to a website called Paladin.com, and in this website you can find like color schemes and things like that. You can see they have a bunch of options here, so you can do monochromatic, or you can do multiple colors and different settings. I just stick with the one color monochromatic, and the color I'm going to be using is sort of like a sea green, kind of like a Philadelphia Eagles green if you guys are familiar with football. So somewhere like here. And then the middle part, I like to keep it sort of in the middle, but like this left to right diagonal, like that. So then I get a dark color green, and I get a gray, and then this is like the main middle one, and then I have a really bright one, and then a brightish grayish one, if you know what I mean. So those are going to be the 5 colors I'm going to have. That's what I looked for. If you guys want something else, you can of course go through the settings, find something else, play with the wheel, all that jazz, and get what you want. This is what I want, so I'm gonna hit here, tables and export, and boom, I get all the colors I want, or all the colors that I chose there. And if you click on the code, you can see it pops up, and you can highlight it and you can copy it. So you want to copy the first one, and then I'm just going to drag this window off to the side here, and in Illustrator you want to double click on the color, and you'll get the color picker. What you want to do is paste the code in there at the hashtag, click OK. The color will pop up there, and you want to go to swatches, and if you don't have the swatches tab, you want to go to window and swatches, and it should pop up somewhere. But in that swatches tab, you want to click new swatch, and you'll get this screen here. And then I just title them 1 through 5, so I'll title this guy 1, and he's going to be the darkest one, and click OK, and then it'll appear over here at the side. So that's what you want to do for all these other colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, there we go. I have all my colors right here where I need them, labeled 1 through 5. And the first thing we want to do then, after we have all the pre-stuff set up, this is kind of the pre-logo work. Now we're actually going to get into the logo work, and I like to start off by just outlining everything and having the trace like filled or whatever, everything filled in, outlined, all that good stuff, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to create a new layer, and each layer is going to be its own object. So the first one I'm going to start with is the body, and if you want, you can go into the references and hide the ones you're not using. So you'd have to unlock it and then hide these guys, relock it. You always want to lock it when you're working because you don't want to accidentally put stuff on this layer, because Illustrator can be weird and kind of annoying. So always lock the layers you don't want stuff on. But I'm just going to keep these all checked for now and just keep this layer locked since they're not overlapping or anything right now. But we want to be in the body. I like to go to the fill and click none, so there's no fill. I'm just working with an outline. Then you want to go to the pen tool, and you just want to start outlining whatever object it is. So I'm going to be starting with just the body, and we're not going to be using the head or the fists. I'm just going to kind of doing the arms and the torso. And since I'm going to be making this symmetrical, I'm only going to do 1/2. So I'm just going to find the middle here and do only half of it. And I'll come back when I finish that. Alright, there we go. So I've completed this, and you'll notice it's filled in now, but yours will probably look like this with an outline. And you just want to click this switch arrow to swap fill and stroke, so now it's filled in. And then you want to pick one of those colors we selected earlier. So the end ones you don't want to use because those will be your highlight and shade. So you want to do one of them in the middle. And I like to lean towards the bright end, so I'll either do like this guy or this guy. So most likely I'll be doing number 4, and I'm just going to stick with that. And then to get it over to the other side too, we want to click Alt, or press Alt, click, press Shift, drag it over. If you notice, if you don't hold Shift, you can move it anywhere, but we want to keep it aligned, so we press Shift. Just drag it over, doesn't matter where. Then you want to right click, and again, my right click hasn't been working on this mouse. I don't know why it's doing that, but you can also go to Object Transform or right click, Transform, Reflect, and then you can do it vertically. Click OK, boom, hold Shift again and line it up like that. There we go, and you can see these are still 2 separate parts, so we want to select them both. Go to the Pathfinder. Again, if you don't have Pathfinder up, you want to go to Window, Pathfinder, and just click the first shape mode, which is Unite, and now it's one whole object like that. Cool. And then you want to lock the body and move on to the next object, which is going to be the trident. So I'm going to create a new layer, call it trident. And again, if you don't have that reference up, you just want to go through, bring it up in your reference layer, and then get to tracing the trident. And we're going to be doing the same thing, so I'll come back when I did that. Alright, so I did half the trident, and since the trident's going to be one of the colors I didn't pick in the beginning, one of those greens, I'm just going to create its color off the top of the spot, and its shading technique's a little different from everything else, so that'll also be handy. But we're going to just flip the stroke and the fill again, double click on the fill, actually go up here and select a fill, and I'm going to do this yellow that's next to the orange, and I'm going to select that guy, then double click on the yellow, and I'm going to bring it slightly more towards the orange, maybe that's a little too much, somewhere like there, and then down a little darker. So the code I'm going to be using is AF9217 if you're curious. I'm just going to click OK, and if you do something like that, I recommend saving that swatch, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll call this the gold. And again, we're just going to repeat what we did before. Press Alt, click, Shift, drag over, right click, transform, reflect, OK, line it up, select them both, and that was a poor job of lining it up. For some reason it's not going straight, it's going diagonally. Illustrator, man, I'll tell you. Alright, and then merge them together like that. And there you go. And then we're going to move on to the next one, which is the head and beard. And that's just repeating the same steps, just getting the outline. The beard is going to be slightly different though because of the face. We're actually going to cut a hole in that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the crown, which is the same exact steps as we've done before, which you guys kind of get. And then I'll come back for the beard. Alright, so I outlined the beard and face area, but you notice the face isn't there, and we could do the face over the beard, but then it's just going to make highlighting and shading more difficult. So the way I'm about to show you makes it a lot easier. So what we're going to do is hide the beard and face, and we're going to get the pen tool. Again, we're just going to keep it on an outline, and we're going to go ahead and actually we're going to make sure the beard and face layer is visible, but then click the down arrow and then just hide it from within, so we can still work on this layer. And we're going to go ahead and trace the face, and again, since it's like symmetrical or whatever, we can just do 1/2 and then copy it over. Alright, so once we do that, put them together, we have this, and then let's just bring back the beard, and I'm actually going to change the color just so you can see it a little bit better. And see, we could stick with this and then do all the shading and stuff on the face, but then that'll require us to clip everything out of the face, and that'll just be a little more difficult. We can just do it with the beard, which will be easier. So to cut the face out of the beard, what we want to do is select the face and the beard, and then click this. Actually, we have to ungroup these guys. So let me, So you want to click one of the faces or one of these objects, the beard, and then you want to hit the second shape mode, which is trim. Boom, cuts the hole. And then we can do it with the second one. Boom, there's a hole. And then you'll notice if we get rid of the reference, there's just a hole there in the beard, but we still need some color in the face. So what we're going to do is get the pen tool, pick our skin color, and we can keep it on fill because it's not that big of a deal. It won't get in our way because we know what we're doing here. And we're just going to go ahead around where the face would be. And that looks pretty stupid, but if we go ahead to the beard face layer and drag it below the beard, there's our face. And if you guys are saying like, why did we do that? If we go ahead to add highlights and stuff later on, so say I'm adding a highlight here, boom, there's our highlight. We want that to be on the face. Instead of having to select this, select the face, and clip that bit out, we can just drag that bit below the beard, and boom, there we go. There's our highlight. Real simple. And so that's essentially why we do that, to make it easier for the face details, because there's more face details than there are beard details in my case. Might be different for you, you guys can plan accordingly, but that's just how you do that in said circumstance. Let's go ahead and lock that layer now, and we're going to be moving on to the shading and highlighting now. So I usually start with the shading, doing the dark spots first, and then moving on to the highlights second, just because I think shading is a little bit easier. And the way I go about shading is I stay in the same layer, so I'm going to unlock this body layer, and that's where I'm going to be working. And again, I'm going to select my shading color. I have the highlight color selected now. I'm going to be using the very dark color. You could use the second darkest if you wanted to, up to you. I'm just going to be using the darkest one. And I'm going to make it an outline, get the pen tool. And you could select the body and decrease the opacity. That's one way of going about doing it. Or you can go ahead inside and just hide it and then follow these dark spots. So that's what I'm going to do for now. So let's say I'm doing the dark spots. This is a very easy model to follow. And I'm going to be doing what I did before by doing 1/2 and copying and pasting it over just to keep the symmetry. And that'll just make it look better. But let me just give you a rough shadow real quick. So let's just do, this will be real rough. Do something like this. Alright, and then let's flip it so it's filled in now. And let's bring the body back up. So there is our dark shade spot. Obviously we'd want to do all of them and then bring them together. And I haven't found a great technique on how to do these all at once, but it takes a little bit to get this done, but it's whatever. So what I did was this bottom body path, the full filled in path, I dragged down to a new layer to duplicate it. So now there is 2 of them. I like to click the eyeball to hide the bottom one, and you can just select the body, the shader, and then click the third shape mode, which is called, I don't know, the name's not popping up right now. whatever. You want to click the third shape mode. So we've used the first two, now we're on the third one. And you can see, boom, it all disappears except the bit that was overlapping. So if we then click the eyeball to bring back that body path, you can see where the shading would be. Now the problem with this technique is you have to duplicate the body every time you have a shader. So it's a lot of work, and that's why I said I haven't found a better one. It's probably because I'm a little bit newbie when it comes to this sort of thing. But the same thing can be done then with the highlights. So if you go ahead, get the pen tool and go ahead and do a highlight. I'm going to flip it. I'm just going to do a random one here. So say it's this guy. Cool. Flip it, make it a fill. Again, you have to go ahead, duplicate the body, and then we gotta. If you just want to do an easy select, you can go over to the layers and click the circle, and then press Command and click the other circle of whatever else you're selecting, and do it that way, and that's a little bit easier. But there you go. Click the third shape mode, and it'll overlay like that. And you just want to do that to the entire thing. And then if we click down the arrow and click the circle to select everything, everything will be together and you can move it as one. And that's how I went about doing it. I'm not sure if there's an easier way. If there is, post it in the comments. If I find one, I'll post it in the comments or put something up on this part of the screen so you guys know. But that is one way to do the shading. There's also the other way, which is what I did for the gold bits. So let me just lock these layers, and let me go, actually no, I want to do the trident. So let me go to this trident layer. So one thing you can do, again, we're going to be using the source or the reference, and I'm just going to go ahead and select a white because I'm only going to be doing highlights. And you can easily see where the highlights are on this guy. So say I'm going to do a highlight here. Let me just go ahead and do one real quick. That's close enough. And I did the wrong part of it, but it's whatever. And let's fill it. We're going to be doing the same thing, so duplicate the bottom part, or the whole trident thing. Let's bring it up, make it visible, and then let's select the trident that we duplicated, and then the glare that we just created, or the highlight we just created, and click the third shape mode. Boom, there we go. We can bring this back up, and you do that multiple times, and you get all the white bits everywhere on this trident. But instead of just picking another yellow color or whatever, you can also go ahead to the opacity and just bring down the opacity, and that'll equal as a highlight. If I go, actually I don't have it saved up in here anymore. Maybe I do in the crown. Yeah, this crown should do it too. Yeah, you can see the crown, that's what I did, and you get a pretty good result like that as well. So that's sort of an easier method of doing it. You can also do that with the shading, so you could do black parts. And instead of just the white. So yeah guys, that's how I did that. And then once you finish everything, you can get rid of the references, unlock everything, and put them all together. So I can select the face here and the crown, bring it over. See, it's a little too big. Decrease the size, set it up here. Let's go ahead and get the trident. I'm actually going to bring the trident down below everything and rotate it, bring it back, and then if I want, duplicate it over here and transform it, and there we go. And then in the original one I had bring it over here, I had a badge going around it, and to do that all I did was create a new layer. So I guess we could just lock all these. Come on. It's got to be at the very bottom below everything. And we can get the pen tool. We can keep it as a fill, I guess. And we'll select a darkish color. And let's go to the bottom here. And then we'll go up. Kind of do one of those. And then bring it over. Like that. There we go. Oops. So there's our like badge shape, or 1/2, and we just duplicate it over like we've been. Line them up, and then we'll select it, merge it together, center it a little bit. If it's not big enough, I could just extend it. There we go. And then what I did was add a stroke, so let me go ahead, I'll just use that gold again, bump up the size, and I believe I used a gradient on it to make it a bit different. But to cut out the body from the outside, all I did was select it and then select the body, and for some reason this hasn't been working recently. But I do that and you can see it's not working, and I have no idea why it hasn't been working, but that's what I did, I'm almost positive, to clip out the arms and stuff and the body. But yeah guys, that's essentially how I created this whole thing. Sorry I didn't know the badge very well, I kind of forgot. But that is this tutorial. Hopefully you guys like it. If you did, please drop a like. I've spent probably 3 days trying to record this and get this out, and like total of like 18 hours trying to record it and do it the right way. I just haven't been able to. This finally seems like a keeper, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the techniques and stuff. I know I didn't show you a lot, but I explained everything that I kind of did. And I know you guys are probably going to ask me about the beard texture that is on this, and that was done in Photoshop. The beard is actually really bad. It's probably the worst part about that, or about this. That's why I didn't show you it. But yeah, so that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, follow me on Twitter at Qehzy, subscribe for more tutorials, and let me know what other tutorials you'd like to see guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.